Good morning. It's Thursday, May 28th, 2020. I'm Keith Tebow. Thank you for joining me on this Thursday morning. It is 9:30 on Thursday, and that traditionally has been our time we've been able to spend with Mayor Paul Coogan as we get updated on what's happening in the city of Fall River. Mayor, good morning. How are you today?
Morning, Keith.
Let's get right to it. This week you held a televised town hall. We were pleased to be able to share that with our audience at FRCmedia. It was yourself as well as our legislative delegation. How important was it for you to gather all of you together and talk about what's happening in the city surrounding COVID-19?
I think it's very important. I want people to know that this is a team effort. It is locally with our public safety people, and on a state level, we depend on our legislators to help us with any issues related to COVID or anything else. I want people to know there's constant communication between myself and all four of the representatives, including three representatives and Senator Rodrick. And I want people to know that as the way to get things done is to develop teamwork that'll tackle a deal. And if we did that town hall, I thought it went very well. Everybody got a chance to talk and speak about issues, and I went over well.
I know it's also frustrating to continue to hear from people. I'm sure that you get calls and you meet in the street. People still frustrated about the level of opening. I know a lot of people are still, being cognizant of the spread of the disease, wearing their masks, social distancing. But it appears that, that now that there are more people that are seeing some businesses starting to open, that they're getting a little more frustrated with what's going on. And I guess you just have to keep everyone on an even keel and moving forward.
And that's the best we can do. We're taking direction from Governor Baker and Lieutenant Governor Polito. People are getting frustrated. The nicer the weather gets, the more people want to get outdoors and do different things. And I guess we're going to start piecemealing that out. We're looking to try to get some sports going in sometime in June. Tennis nets were put up so people can play tennis. We definitely encourage outdoor activity, whether it's walking or riding a bike or doing something. We're as frustrated as everyone else. We want things open. We want things back to normal, but obviously safety is the overriding concern, and we've lost too many residents as it is. Like I always say, one is too many, but hey, we'll get it going. It's just the numbers are starting to look better every day across the state. Positive cases are going down. It seems like from a high of about a month and a half back or a month back. Overall, fatalities is going down every day. We're down in double digits now. I can remember when that was running close to 200 a day. I think we're working our way out of it. We're not out of it yet, but we're getting there.
I want to talk a little bit about the recreational activities. You just mentioned it briefly. I know during the town hall you mentioned that tennis courts are going to be reopening. Nets are being put up. And you also mentioned the possibility of getting the basketball hoops up because, you mentioned that it's very important for our youth to get their exercise. And even though, basketball tends to be a contact sport, more people involved, you're still looking at probably doing that. Is there a timeline on the basketball courts?
We're looking at the start of phase 2, which is about June 8th. Those were some of the directives we were given on basketball. The age group that plays basketball is in the very low risk group for COVID. They're not exempt, but they're in the low risk group. I think if you drive by any basketball hoop in Fall River, there's kids out there playing basketball most days, and that means to me they're not getting in trouble. They're not walking around doing things they shouldn't be doing. They're out having fun with sports, and I'm not against it. We're going to have to try to do this as safely as we can, but I would love to see us get some sports going in the city, whether it's Little League baseball or softball or basketball. I'd like to see us get some stuff going. People hook up and they want to get out and do things. You can't tell. I lived in a third floor apartment on Warren Street for a long time, and sit there every day when you're used to going down to Pulaski Park or Abbott Court and playing basketball. That's very, very tough to do, especially these kids are all on the school year clock. They know they're still in school. They getting out. They're getting out of school next month, so they're going to be looking for activity, and I'd like them to channel their energy to something positive.
What about an update on opening up Government Center? You had said that you were going to, continue to think about that. Is that going to be
Right.
probably part of the city's phase two?
Yes, I think it definitely is. We're looking at some procedures we can do to try to keep everybody safe. We had a very good weekend, as I said, with Bay Coast Bank, our new ability to pay bills with cash or a check and walk in the evening on Saturday morning. They can take their bills over to Bay Coast. We're now doubling that up and making another separate account so people can pay a parking ticket there also. We'll definitely be having the Government Center open first week in June. If people have bulky items, they're going to be able to go down to Lewiston Street and take care of that starting on Monday. So we're moving in the right direction. We take care of mostly everything people need, but we do know that sometimes people want to come into Government Center and do stuff face to face. It'll be through a piece of plexiglass, and we'll accommodate them.
You also mentioned it was during the town hall that we're hearing a lot of things about not only the numbers of those who have tested positive and unfortunately the number of fatalities going up incrementally, but there was a big discussion around the issues of society. I guess that's how it was phrased, in terms of those who have addiction problems, those who are homeless. We hear a lot more about that, and cases are reported more when people are in their normal mode. And there was concerns, and I want you to touch upon it, in terms of how some of those issues may not be reported as much because people are staying home. And in some cases, especially when it comes to child abuse and issues that could be reported through the schools, that those mechanisms of reporting are not currently available.
Yeah, people have to understand that, school is not what it used to be a long time ago. School is now a lifeline for many of these kids. They form relationships with their counselors and their teachers, and they depend on them. They talk to them. We have students, I was saying it the other night, they go to school for breakfast, they have lunch at school, they may go to the boys club in the afternoon for dinner, and they get picked up at 8 o'clock at night when the club closes. Those are all links in a chain that keep them going. They need that kind of activity. They need that kind of support. You just leave these kids, in an apartment all day or out on the sidewalk, and it's not positive. I was thinking the other day when I was driving about some of our at-risk populations, whether it's special needs kids or whatever. What are they getting right now? What are they getting? They depend on school. A lot of these kids have one-on-one paras that are with them all day long. They walk with them, they talk with them, they become friends. They haven't seen them in months. And, they can take the summer off because there's other activities, but to just coop people up like that, it wears on your psyche. I'm worried to death about these kids and what's going to happen to them. I just hope we pull ourselves out of this and get back to some kind of a quote normal routine.
And it'll be interesting to see whether when things get back to more of a normal, some of these issues begin to crop up. And unfortunately, with the students, we may not see this, depending on what's happening with the schools, until some of those kids get back in the fall. I want to just ask a question. We just got a question in from Facebook. You had mentioned in our answer to my previous question concerning bulky items and the DCM. You had mentioned the Lewiston Street. Is that going to be for drop off only? Are they still picking up bulky items?
Yes.
Our forces?
You get your tag at Lewiston Street. You go down there, you pay a fee, and they give you those yellow tags. I think they're yellow. You put them on the furniture or whatever you want removed, but you can pick the tags up at Lewiston or bring your items there. So it's an option. But then that way, again, they're not in Government Center. They have an option.
Okay. So, and the ability to do that will begin next week?
I think Monday 10 to 4.
Okay. So beginning Monday 10 to 4, we'll be able to have those issues addressed at the Lewiston Street location. Just a couple of other quick things. We mentioned schools, a couple of issues on that, Mayor, that I have for you. The state last week announced that um, schools may be able to have in-person graduations if they're held after July 19th. I know the city has made some preliminary announcements concerning Durfee High School's graduation. Has that changed at all because of this announcement?
Yes, we ended up polling our seniors to see what their feeling was. Did they want to go forward with the virtual one the first week of June or postpone till that July date? And they overwhelmingly supported moving to the July date. So I can assure you the wheels are already turning on how we can do that and make it safe for everybody and give kids a graduation. We were always about making sure we honored the class of 2020. It was just the best way to do it and what was allowed under the guidelines from the state. So if that's the will of those kids, that's what we're going to follow. The community has stepped up tremendously with their contributions to the class of 2020, and I think we'll give them all a nice gift bag going out the door.
That's good to hear. So it looks like we're going to be having some sort of traditional, as traditional can be,
Yes,
graduation for the class of Durfee 2020. What about in terms of plans for the fall? Anything new on that front from the school department?
There was an all call yesterday with DESC. Jeff Riley was on with the superintendents. They are as unsure as we are about our budget. They're kicking around ideas, how best to tackle things. They're not sure yet. What's it going to look like? I mean, are we going to have split schedules? Are we going to have split days? Are we going to split classes? Are we going to have kids sitting on a seat alone in a bus? All these things are up in the air, and we do not have answers right now. I was reading a story this morning that said Fort Worth School District is starting a summer school program within school classes, traditional looking. And I hate to tell Fort Worth, they're probably going to be the guinea pig for how this plays out over the next few weeks. So other communities can say, well, look how it went in Fort Worth, or it went well, or look what happened to Fort Worth. So we'll see how that plays out.
Yeah. And I also know there continues to be an issue in terms of, how a lot of these will be funded coming forward. We've talked a lot during our discussions about the city budget, and we know that that's been delayed for a while. But the city is scheduled to be receiving $7.9 million from the state from the CARES Act. I guess two questions. One, has the city received that money? And two, what are some of the strings that are attached to it?
I don't know if we have the money in hand, but I trust them. They told us that's what we're going to get, so we'll be fine. But the strings are that it has to be COVID related. Now that's where there's the rub. I spend a lot of my day working on COVID stuff. Everyone in this office works on COVID. Our Board of Health, our Department of Health works on COVID things. Mary, our head financial officer, works on COVID things. Human resources, COVID issues, who's out sick, who's in, whatever. COVID overwhelms a lot of the departments in the city. Now, is that a legitimate cost to transfer to that 7.9 million? I think it is. We did get a little direction yesterday from Congressman Kennedy's office, and we're going to work on it again today. Their position is that it has to be COVID related. So I look at what's going on in the city of Fall River right now, taking down the basketball courts for our DPW. Is that COVID related? Closing down our bulky item pickup. Is that COVID related? Were all these things done because of COVID? So and I think you can make the leap very easily, that those were COVID expenses, then we should be able to use the federal money for those kind of things. If we can do that, we can offset some of the costs that or some of the funds we're not getting back, whether it's parking meter revenue, whether it's marijuana revenue, car excise, property taxes. If we can do that, we may start to work our way out of the woods. Again, that was conversations yesterday. They're scheduled for more today. These are the things we work on. How do we justify taking that money and helping as many residents as far as we can?
And those are dictated by not even the state, because this is the federal CARES Act, correct?
Yeah, federal CARES Act. Yeah.
Right. So we'll have to see how that shakes out. All right, Mayor Paul Coogan, thank you as always for joining us. We'll talk again next week. Have a great week. Stay safe.
Thank you, Keith.
All right. Thanks again to Fall River Mayor Paul Coogan for joining us on our weekly Thursday morning chats here on FRC Media. Again, we invite you to continue to visit our website, frmedia.org, for the latest information on COVID-19, as well as other news and notes around the city of Fall River. I'm Keith Tebow. Thanks for joining me today, and we'll see you later on.